Love to start off with some good energy. Everything's vibration. So I have a current Waking Up in the Dream group happening right now that started on Sunday. And this group happens to be all women, which is amazing. And the level of sharing and vulnerability that's happening is really humbling. And so somebody reached out to me, and I wrote a chapter in my book, Waking Up in the Dream, around judgment. And they asked me to speak on that a little bit. I'm going to invite a couple friends right now real quick. So yes, I'm looking away from the screen. And I'll come back in just a second. So one of the things that's coming up for people is a really huge program. And it's definitely nothing to be ashamed of, but it's definitely something to be aware of. And that is, hey Susan, hi Lisa, hey Jasmine. That is that judgment is clearly the biggest addiction on the planet. And it is a really incessant program. It's a program that we were taught, that we learned, and that was introduced just through the fact that we came into this life and we're taught separation from other people, good, bad, right, wrong, white, black, different skin color, living in different places. And so what I realized when I met my mentor, Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of the 4 Agreements, Mastery of Love, Beyond Fear, The Voice of Knowledge, I met him in 2001, which was almost 20 years ago. And I had the blessing of being in San Diego where Miguel and his family was. And he just had something. And I had already had a huge book collection of spiritual teachings and wisdom. And a lot of that resonated with me, of course. We're downloading and we're vibrationally attracting from our higher self, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really into the terms because they kind of limit things. However, what I resonated with from my heart was that this man got me to question all of my beliefs. I'd never even thought of that concept before. Question my beliefs? What do you mean? Isn't everything that I think right? Because I'm thinking it? And that's absolutely what the ego does, and it feeds upon that. And so the greatest opening into my awakening journey was when Miguel asked myself and the small group of people that I was in, you must be willing to question every single belief that you have. Because what I realized later and what I've written in the book, Waking Up in the Dream, is that what I realized, 99% of my beliefs all came from external sources. My grandparents, my parents, the school system. It's a system. They don't really teach you how to think in most cases. They tell you what to think. It's a system of programming currently, but that's being shifted right now. Boom. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic schools until 9th grade. I was subjected to so much judgment, blame, guilt, fear, with a little bit of love thrown in way back here. Oh man, I grew up around 75-year-old pissed off nuns. And I had no concept of what conscious awareness was when I was in the 1st or 2nd grade. But my higher self-intuition told me there's something really wrong here. There's something vibrationally wrong. But I had no concept of what that was at the time. It wasn't until years later I went, oh yeah, that's the program. That's fear-based separation, judgment, and it steals our energy and it keeps us looping in these ongoing patterns of less than, not good enough, judging others because we think that something out there is wrong, and it's 180 degrees the opposite of what it really takes to wake up and begin to shift the dream. So this particular transmission is about judgment, because again, it's the biggest addiction on the planet. And if you feel righteous in your judgments because they're doing wrong, pedophilia, the government, vaccines, money, it's a lie, I get it. That's where I was. I was a judge-aholic because I thought that if I pointed out and focused on everything that was wrong out there in the external world, that would somehow shine more light on it and it would somehow fix it. But what I didn't understand was that every thought, word, and emotion is a frequency. And it's an invisible frequency for the most part. We may be able to see them in the future, but for me personally, I don't see the frequency of my thoughts. They just seem to be invisible. However, what I did come to the realization of was, and why I wrote the chapter on judgment being the biggest addiction on the planet, is because it is. It is a loop. It is a program that the media and the dark ones, you know, I don't like to focus on the negative, but you definitely need to, or not need, you're invited to wake up to who's feeding you the information and what is the frequency of that. Because every single thing that shows up in your dream is created by a frequency. And you are the creator and the director of your dream. Consider it a movie. You know, Miguel told me in the very beginning, he asked us in the small group, do you realize that you're dreaming right now? And most people went, that sounds weird. Aren't we only dreaming when we're asleep? And then the light bulb moment went off and I went, oh, we're dreaming all the time. You could call it dreaming, you could call it awake, you can call it whatever you want. But the key is to have that aha moment to go, oh, wow, dreaming all the time. Now, you're looking at how this whole dream we call life is created and operates from a different level of awareness instead of running on what I call in the book automatic response and reaction mode. That's what many people do. That's what we're taught to do. We end up with a belief system that comes from our parents, grandparents, if we have them, the school system, in my case, the system of religion and church. I was an altar boy until 9th grade. And there's some great people out there, but it's a program. Don't mean to piss anybody off, but, and you can navigate within that program and you can be love and do it, but it's a program of deception at the root. And if that pisses anybody off, then I'm sorry. You don't have to believe what I believe. My teacher, Miguel, said, question everything. Don't believe me. This was Miguel talking. Don't believe him. Don't believe yourself. And don't believe anybody else. Find out what's true for you. So, yes, I invite people to wake up. I invite them to question their judgments, their doubts, their fears, and it may trigger some people. However, don't shoot the messenger, because I'm dealing with the same programs and things as everybody else. I was just taught and I was given the gift from a master teacher to see how this dream works. So I'm just sharing an opportunity to awaken, because that's what's happening right now, and it's always happening. The layers of awakening and the different dimensions of vibration are probably endless. But a great starting point is, are you operating from your heart in every moment? Love is the highest frequency. Fear, hate, judgment, doubt, unworthiness, they're all down here. So what I learned, and it's 100% true, is every thought, every word, a thought is invisible. A word has a little bit more power because it's vibration, or it could have more power. And then you put an emotion on top of that, like, yeah, I'm excited, or no, I'm vibrating in fear. That is exactly what is creating what shows up in your dream in this vibrational hologram that we call life. And you could say, which is a great question, what about all this other stuff about, pedophilia in the Vatican and, poisoning our food and vaccines? And yeah, we're co-creating this reality. However, your power begins in owning your frequency first. If you can't control what's going out in the outer world, what you can do is you can send it love, and you can say, here's what I did. I switched. I used to judge the pedophiles, the people in government, the people poisoning our food, all that. And I was actually unknowingly giving them more energy. Thoughts, words, and vibration, think of it like this. They're magnets. Everything's vibrating and everything's frequency. So every thought, every word, and every emotion, maybe not with one thought, but with the repetition of that vibrational frequency, that will attract the like frequency into your hologram that we call life. So if you're constantly doing what I was doing before, which is pedophiles, this, these people are wrong, this is bad, that's actually giving energy to those things that are actually playing their role to wake you up. So the solution is compassion. Compassion is an energetic frequency up here. It hovers in the love frequency. Judgment, hatred, saying everything's wrong, and they're the reason why you can't be happy, it's a trap. You're down here. I intend that this makes sense because this changed everything in my life. And I'm so grateful to Miguel, and I'm so grateful to every single person that I judge. Because everyone that you judge, when you have the awareness to catch it, they're your greatest teachers. Why is that? Because you cannot be triggered into judgment unless you are holding within you a like frequency. You won't get triggered. You'll just go, oh, those people are perfectly playing their role. Thank you for mirroring me. So I intend that you find this valuable. This is some of the greatest realizations that I realized around frequency, energy, and what I was holding within. Because I'm a good-hearted person, like most people are. We don't end up, being unhappy or being bad, whatever that label is, or, being triggered. It's a learned behavior. But we're here to wake up. And we're here at the greatest time in this history. We came here for this. And let's have some fun doing it. So one of the things I want to leave you with is, when you're a little child, you are in awe and wonder of everything that's going on. And yeah, if you get upset, you cry, you whine, but you don't carry that with you for days and weeks and years and decades. You don't remember that shit. It's only when we become adults that we hold on to things for days, weeks, years. Sometimes people in relationship or families, they don't talk for 50 years. And then when the other person's getting ready to die, they finally go, I really love you. And they're like, fuck, why didn't we do this 40 years ago? That's the ego. So I ended up naming my ego. And this was a gift of one of my friends, Shakti. And she said, if you name your ego, you'll be able to see it more clearly. So I named my ego Larry. And Larry is, to be blunt, he's a motherfucker. He's a conniving, fear-based, manipulative, judgmental, less than program that is not who I am with my higher self. And then I've got another ego, and her name is Lizzie. And I named her after Lizzie Borden, the axe murderer. And she's the spiritual ego up here that's done all the work. And she's just as manipulative. So I invite you to play with this stuff and be light, because we end up on this spiritual journey, we can end up having it become pretty intense. And that takes the fun out of the journey. And so if I could leave you with anything, it would be really be loving on yourself. Do you do mirror work every day? Do you look in the mirror and go, I really love you? And I see all these judgments or not good enoughs, or I see where I'm really, being amazing to assist and love other people. I'm appreciating life. I'm appreciating food. I'm appreciating every breath. I wake up and I create my day consciously every morning. I thank my innate intelligence, those trillions of cells, that this is what taught me unconditional love. Not being in a loving relationship with a woman that I thought was amazing. And, that's been a trap as well on some levels. However, the greatest teacher of unconditional love to me has been my innate intelligence and Mother Earth. Because those two things, Mother Earth and every cell inside myself, is serving me unconditionally in every moment. And they're not asking for anything in return. And what happens with so many people, including myself before, is I would wake up and I'm going, okay, what do I got to do today? What's going on? How am I going to, survive today? Or how am I going to make it through it? Or, some days I'm feeling pretty good. Other days I'm feeling like shit's out of control. Well, what I learned was to consciously create my day every single morning before I step out of bed. If you step out of bed and put your foot on the floor, I can pretty much guarantee that there's 50 to 80,000 thoughts that are running every day that are going to start looping over and over. And 80% of those 50 to 80,000 thoughts have been proven to be negative for most people. I'm not projecting that on you. I can say for me, that's true. That was really true. And I still have to watch it every day. It's practice. I'm not up here where I'm so elevated and I'm awakened and nobody else is. No. But I use the tools, and what I learned to do is feel frequency right here. I feel it in my body. I feel it in my stomach. Every thought and every judgment and every word I track now. I no longer run on automatic response mode. That's the program. When you can begin to operate on, I just felt that frequency. That feels kind of shitty. Let me look at that. And what's my real truth? Okay, number one, I had that reaction or that trigger. However, if I take a breath and I ask 7 of the most powerful words ever that I share in the book and the course, what is this trying to teach me? Sorry, 7. What is this trying to teach me? Guess what? Now, by feeling the frequency with your conscious awareness, taking a breath, You just stopped the story and the ego from running that same story over and over and over, and you just interrupted it. And now by asking the question, what is this trying to teach me? Now you're operating in higher self mode instead of automatic reaction mode or victim mode. This is how we interrupt and dismantle all these programs. And let me tell you, in 30 days or less, you can create such an incredible shift, and you can actually undo 30, 40, 50, 60. I have people that come into the course that are 70, 80 years young. And another thing, don't ever, ever state your age anymore. Do not say how old you are. That's a program. Your innate intelligence, every cell in your body is listening to every single thought, word, and emotion that you have. It's a frequency. I intend this is, landing and maybe presenting some aha moments for you. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody that shares. Thanks for everybody that's commented. And here we are in the dream. Be good to yourself. Love yourself. And definitely question everything. Because until you do, if you don't question every one of your beliefs, they're running you. And when Miguel asked me to question all my beliefs, it was an awakening big time. Because I got to see that 99% of my beliefs, they weren't even mine. They all came from external sources. And I only kept 2 beliefs. And the number one was, I am a sovereign, divine, unlimited being. Unlimited. This doesn't come from the ego going, I'm unlimited, I'm so great. No, it's the truth of who you are. You are God. That may trigger some people in the Catholic community. Deal with it. However, the other belief I kept was, I create my reality with my thoughts and my words of my belief. And if I'm not tracking those with awareness in each moment, then the automatic underlying subconscious is just recreating the same scenarios, attracting the same people into my relationships, and creating the same stuff over and over and over. So take control of your life. Love yourself deeply. It's okay to do it. That's not an ego thing. And, question everything. Question every belief that you have. And really, the main number one thing is track your frequency. I started off on this call talking about judgments because it's the biggest addiction on the planet. It really is. It's not drugs and alcohol. Those are results of people not feeling good about themselves and wanting to, stop the mind from attacking them, beating them up. Those are external programs. That's not really who you are as a divine sovereign being. So give yourself a lot of love, give yourself a lot of credit, and, begin to track your frequency, and also begin to have boundaries with the people that you surround yourself with. If your job sucks, if everybody's judgmental, if it's fear-based, set your intention to find a way out. If your friends are judgmental and they don't see you and they're not supporting you, then you can still love them from afar, and even family members. That's the most difficult one that comes up for everybody that I work with. But boundaries are important because frequency is everything. And so I intend that you find this mirroring valuable. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, PM me, and we'll have another Waking Up in the Dream incredible journey starting next month. And if that interests you, I promise you it's one of the most awakening, safe, incredible, mind-blowing, program erasing experiences that you may ever engage in, because you're playing the role. It's not me. I'm just a mirror. But what happens in these groups is absolutely humbling, and it's what I learned from my teacher, so I'm just paying it forward. So much love to everybody. Have an incredible day or evening wherever you're at. And yeah, question everything. Stay in your heart. Much love.